Early one morning, I saw my wife cheerfully packing her suitcase, so I asked her, "Are we going somewhere?" She laughed and replied, "You're not, but I am. My ex just invited me to the Maldives. Don't be jealous. We're just friends." After she left, the alarm had not even gone off yet when I heard a commotion downstairs. It was 6 in the morning, and my wife Nicole was already up and moving around like she had somewhere important to be. I got out of bed, pulled on a pair of jeans, and went down to the kitchen. She was humming contentedly with an energy I had not seen in a long time, folding clothes into the expensive designer suitcase I had given her for our 15th wedding anniversary back, when I still thought overpriced gifts could fix what was broken between us. "Going somewhere?" I asked, trying to keep my voice casual. Nicole looked up with the polished smile she reserved for clients at her advertising agency. It was professional, rehearsed, and as icy as a January in Chicago. "Oh, you are up early, Brian. I'm just taking a short trip with Brandon. You remember Brandon, my friend from college? He invited me to the Maldives, to catch up." Brandon. Of course it was Brandon Ellis, her ex-boyfriend from Northwestern University. The same Brandon who had seeped back into her life over the past 6 months like oil into concrete. The same Brandon who called at 9 in the evening and made her laugh in a way I had not heard in years. "Just the two of you?" I asked as I poured coffee from the machine that only seemed to respond to Nicole's voice commands. Even our appliances favored her. "Well, yeah. You hate the beach anyway, Brian. You are always complaining about the sand getting everywhere. Besides, someone has to stay home with Haley." Our 16-year-old daughter, Haley, chose that moment to walk into the kitchen, her backpack slung over her shoulder, ready for high school. She glanced at the suitcase, then at me, and rolled her eyes so hard I was surprised they did not pop out of their sockets. "Let it go, Dad. Mama's been planning this trip for weeks. She has been texting about it nonstop." Nicole shot Haley a dark look, but our daughter was already grabbing a granola bar and heading for the door. "Scott is picking me up tonight, Dad. Bye, Mom. Have fun in paradise with your friend." The way Haley said the word friend told me everything about the transparency of Nicole's little vacation. After Haley left, the kitchen fell into a silence that felt like standing on the edge of a cliff. Nicole continued packing, adding her new swimsuit, a red one I had never seen her wear, and a bottle of perfume she only used for special occasions. "When did you say you would be back?" I asked. "I did not, but probably sometime next week. Brandon is very flexible with planning." I am sure he was. "Nicole, we need to talk about this." She finally stopped packing and met my gaze. "Talk about what, Brian? 2 old friends going on vacation? You are being paranoid." "Oh, am I?" Because from where I am standing, it looks like my wife is running off to a tropical paradise with her ex-boyfriend while I am left at home to hold things together. "Do not be dramatic. We have been just friends for 20 years, Brian. You are acting like a jealous teenager." But I could see it in her eyes. That spark that had been missing from our marriage for months. The excitement, the anticipation. She was literally glowing, and it had nothing to do with the prospect of ocean views and fruity cocktails. "Fine," I said. "Have a great trip." Nicole's face softened slightly, as if relieved I was not going to put up a fight. "Thanks for understanding. I really need this, Brian. Things have been so stressful at work, and you know how hard it has been since Mom got sick." Her mother. That was Nicole's trump card in any argument. Barbara Morrison had been battling health issues for the last 8 months, and it had been difficult for all of us. But Barbara was in remission now. She was doing well, and she certainly was not the reason Nicole was flying to the Maldives with another man. "How does your mom feel about you leaving?" I asked. Nicole's jaw tightened. "She is fine with it. She encouraged me to take this trip. In fact, she thinks I deserve a little happiness." Happiness? As if our marriage was some sort of prison sentence she was temporarily escaping. I watched her zip the suitcase closed. I watched her check her phone for what must have been the 10th time in 5 minutes. I watched her apply lip gloss in the hallway mirror as if she were getting ready for a date. "Brandon will be here to pick me up in 20 minutes, she said without looking at me. "His flight does not leave until noon, but he wants to have breakfast at that place near the airport." Of course, Brandon had always been like that, wanting to stretch out every moment, to milk every experience for maximum impact. I remembered him from the few times we had all hung out in college, supremely confident, The kind of guy who wore outrageously expensive watches and talked about his family's money without ever saying the word. I will walk out with you when he gets here, I said. That is not necessary. I will be fine. A few minutes later, a black BMW pulled into our driveway. Through the window, I could see Brandon at the wheel, wearing sunglasses despite the overcast morning. He looked exactly like the kind of man who would invite a married woman to the Maldives. Nicole grabbed her suitcase and headed for the door. I followed. Brandon got out of the car as we approached, all smiles and the scent of overpriced cologne. Brian, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for letting me take Nicole away for a few days. He said it so casually, so confidently, as if borrowing someone's wife was as normal as borrowing a cup of sugar. I felt a surge of anger but kept my composure. Take good care of her, was all I said, squeezing his hand harder than necessary. I always do, Brandon replied, and something in his tone made my blood pressure spike. Nicole gave me a quick, obligatory peck on the cheek and climbed into the passenger seat. I watched them drive away, Nicole already laughing at something Brandon had just said, and I felt something inside me snap. Not my heart. That had been numb for months. It was my patience. I spent the rest of the morning trying to go through the motions. I went to work at my cybersecurity firm downtown. I sat through 3 client meetings about network security upgrades and faked interest in firewall configurations, all while my wife was probably holding her ex-boyfriend's hand at 30,000 feet. When I could not stomach lunch, I drove home. I told my assistant I was working remotely for the afternoon and sat in my kitchen, staring at the empty space where Nicole's suitcase had been. That is when I noticed her iPad on the counter. Nicole made a point of taking all her devices with her when she traveled. The fact that she had left her iPad behind seemed odd, until I realized she probably did not want any distractions. This was her getaway. No work emails, no family obligations. Just her, Brandon, and whatever they had planned. I picked up the iPad, not really thinking about what I was doing. Her email account was still logged in, and I found myself scrolling through recent messages without any real intention. I was not the type of husband who snooped. I had never checked her phone, never looked through her purse, never questioned her long hours at the office. Maybe I should have been. The first email that caught my eye was from 3 days ago. The subject line was clear: our trip. I opened it. Nicole, I have been thinking about this trip constantly. I feel like we are finally getting a chance to see where this connection between us leads. I know the situation is complicated with Brian and Haley, but I believe we owe it to ourselves to explore what we could have together. The Maldives will give us the privacy we need to decide on our next steps. I have upgraded us to the couple's suite at the resort. I think you will love the private beach access. I am counting the hours until I can hold you in my arms again. All my love, Brandon. I read the email 3 times, each reading making me feel a little more nauseous. Hold you in my arms again. The words implied he had already held her recently. I scrolled through more emails, finding a trail of correspondence that went back months. Lunches that turned into afternoon walks, coffee meetings that stretched into the evening, late-night phone calls that Nicole had explained away as just checking in on an old friend. But the worst email came from Nicole to Brandon, sent just a few days ago. Brandon, I cannot stop thinking about the time we spent together at your apartment last week. I know I said we should wait until after the trip to make any big decisions, but being with you felt so right. Brian and I have been living like roommates for years. There is no passion anymore, no connection. He is a good father and a good man, but he is not the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. I am ready to start over with you. After this week in paradise, I think I will finally have the courage to ask Brian for a divorce. I love you too, Nicole. I set the iPad down carefully, as if it might explode if I moved too quickly. My hands were shaking, and I could feel my pulse pounding in my temples. Divorce. She was planning to divorce me. After 18 years of marriage, after building a life together, after raising a child together, she was ready to throw it all away for her college boyfriend. The emails made it clear she had been involved in an inappropriate relationship behind my back. I went to our bar cart and poured myself a stiff bourbon, even though it was only 2 in the afternoon. Then I sat at the kitchen table and tried to figure out what I was supposed to do with this information. I could call her, confront her while she was still at the airport. But what would that accomplish? She would deny it, or worse, she would admit it and end our marriage over the phone while boarding a flight to paradise with another man. I could call a divorce lawyer, start proceedings before she got back, beat her to the punch. But that felt reactive, desperate, like I was letting her control the narrative of our marriage's end. Or I could do something else entirely. I picked up my phone and called my best friend, Scott. Brian, what is up? Should not you be at work? Scott Morrison owned a boxing gym downtown. He was also Nicole's older brother, which had made our friendship complicated over the years. But he was the most straight-shooting person I knew, and right then, I needed someone who would tell me the truth. Scott, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Okay, shoot. Did you know Nicole was having an inappropriate relationship? The silence on the other end of the line stretched on for about 10 seconds too long. Ah, Brian. So that is a yes. Listen, I was not sure, but Barbara mentioned seeing Nicole at lunch with some guy, holding hands, looking intimate. I told her it was probably nothing, that Nicole would not do that to you. Barbara, Nicole's mother, the one who supposedly encouraged this trip. She knew her daughter had betrayed our marriage and had said nothing. The guy is Brandon Ellis, her ex from college. They are in the Maldives together right now. Wow, Nicole, what is she thinking? She is thinking about filing for divorce when she gets back. Another long silence. Brian, I am so sorry. I should have said something when Mom told me about the lunch. I should have warned you. It is not your fault, Scott. But I need a favor. Anything you want. I need to use your gym tonight after you close. I need to hit the heavy bag until my frustration is spent. Done. But Brian, whatever you are planning, be smart. Do not do anything that could make this worse for Haley. Haley, our daughter, who would be coming home from school expecting a normal evening with her dad, not knowing her mother was planning to shatter our family for a man she went to college with. I am not going to do anything stupid, I told Scott. But I am not going to stand by and let her destroy our family without consequences. What kind of consequences? I looked around our kitchen, at the family photos on the fridge, at the coffee mug Nicole had left in the sink with a lipstick stain on the rim. The life we had built together, and she was so eager to throw it away. I do not know yet. But she is not going to have her cake and eat it too. If she wants to be with Brandon, fine, but she is going to lose everything else in the process. Brian, I gotta go. Yeah. Scott, Haley will be home soon, and I need to figure out how to act normal for the next week while I decide what I am going to do. I hung up and poured another bourbon. Outside, it had started to rain, and I watched the water stream down our kitchen window as I planned my next steps. Haley came home from school soaking wet and in a foul mood, complaining about her chemistry teacher and the fact that her best friend was dating a guy she could not stand. Normal teenage problems that seemed surreal against the backdrop of my crumbling marriage. Where is Mom? She asked, raiding the fridge. On a plane right now, I think. Good for her. She has been unhappy lately. I looked up from my laptop. Unhappy? Haley shrugged, pulling out leftover Chinese food. I do not know. Stressed, I guess. She was on her phone all the time, staying late at work, crying in her room when she thought no one was listening. I just figured it was because of Grandma Barbara's health issues, but maybe she just needed a vacation. Crying in her room. I did not know about that. Then again, Nicole and I had been sleeping in separate rooms for the last 3 months. She had claimed it was because of my snoring, but now I understood the real reason. She was planning her exit strategy. Dad, are you okay? You look weird. Just tired. Long day at work. You want to order a pizza and watch something terrible on Netflix? Mom always makes us watch those boring foreign films with subtitles. For the next few hours, I tried to be a normal dad. We ordered pizza, watched a ridiculous action movie, and Haley told me about her plans for prom. She was excited about a dress she had found online and worried about whether Dylan Brooks, no relation to Scott, would ask her to go. Normal life, carrying on as if my world had not just collapsed. Around 10 in the evening, my phone buzzed with a text. It was from Nicole. Landed safely. The hotel is gorgeous. Talk tomorrow. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. Glad you made it safely. Have fun. What I wanted to write was, I know about Brandon. I know about the connection. I know you are planning to file for divorce. Enjoy your last week of having everything you want, because it is all about to end. But I did not. I was learning patience. The next morning, after Haley left for school, I drove to Scott's gym. I found him in his office, sorting through paperwork, a guilty look on his face. How are you holding up? He asked. I have had better days. I need another favor. Name it, I need you to call your mom. Find out everything she knows about Nicole and Brandon. When did it start? How serious is it? Does anyone else know? Scott shifted uncomfortably. Brian, I do not know if that is a good idea. Family drama. It gets messy. It is already messy, Scott. Your sister has been involved in an inappropriate relationship with her ex and planning to divorce me when she gets back from their romantic vacation. I need to know what I am up against. He sighed and picked up his phone. Mom, it is Scott. I need to ask you a few questions about Nicole. Yeah, I know it is complicated. Brian knows. Mom, he found out yesterday. I could hear Barbara's voice, high-pitched and defensive, through the phone, but I could not make out the words. Okay. I will tell him. Yes, I understand. Scott hung up and looked at me with an expression I had never seen on him before. It was a mix of pity and anger. It has been going on for 4 months, he said. Ever since Brandon moved back to Chicago for his job. They were meeting for lunch twice a week, and he was coming to the house when you were at work. Mom saw him leaving one afternoon when she stopped by to check on Nicole. She saw him leaving our house. Yeah. And Brian, there is something else. Brandon is married. Of course he was. His wife apparently does not know. But Mom thinks Nicole does not know either. Brandon told her he was divorced. An icy feeling settled in my chest. Not only was my wife betraying our marriage, but she was doing it with a man who was lying about his own marriage. This was going to be easier than I thought. I need Brandon's address. Brian, no, whatever you are thinking, do not. I am not going to hurt him, Scott. But I am going to have a conversation with his wife. Scott stared at me for a long moment. You are going to blow this whole thing up, are not you? Nicole already blew it up. I am just going to make sure everyone is aware of the explosion. It took me 3 hours of internet sleuthing to find Brandon's address. Social media made it easy. His wife posted constantly about their life in Lincoln Park. Their renovated brownstone. Their 2 golden retrievers. Their picture-perfect marriage. Her name was Kate Ellis, and from the looks of her Facebook profile, she was a pediatric nurse who volunteered at animal shelters and ran marathons for charity. She seemed like the kind of woman who baked cookies for school fundraisers and organized neighborhood block parties. She certainly did not seem like the kind of woman who deserved to have her husband run off to the Maldives with his college girlfriend. I drove to their house that evening after making sure Haley was safely at a friend's house for a sleepover. The house was exactly as I had imagined it. Tasteful, expensive, and perfectly maintained. The kind of place that screamed dual-income power couple, no kids. Kate answered the door in yoga pants and a Northwestern University sweatshirt. She was prettier than her pictures, with kind eyes and an open smile that made what I was about to do feel even more terrible. Can I help you? Mrs. Ellis. My name is Brian Thompson. I think we need to talk about your husband. Her smile faded. I am sorry, what is this about? Brandon is in the Maldives right now with my wife. I thought you should know. For a moment, she just stared at me. Then she stepped back and opened the door wider. You had better come in. Her living room was immaculate, decorated in shades of white and gray, with professional family photos on every surface. Pictures of Brandon and Kate at their wedding, on vacations, at charity events. An entire life documented in silver frames. Brandon told me he was in Singapore, Kate said quietly. A business trip. He has been taking a lot of business trips lately. I am sorry to be the one to tell you this, but they have been seeing each other for months. I found emails between them. They are planning to leave their spouses when they get back. Kate sat down heavily on her white sofa. I knew something was wrong. He was distant, secretive, working late, taking calls in the other room. But I just thought it was stress from work. I took out my phone and showed her the pictures I had taken of Nicole and Brandon at the airport. Kate's face went pale. That is him, she whispered. And that is really your wife. Nicole Thompson. They dated in college, long before we were in the picture. He has told me about her before, the one that got away. I always thought it was sweet that he stayed in touch with an old friend. Kate let out a bitter laugh. I am such an idiot. You are not an idiot. You trusted your husband. That is what is supposed to happen in a marriage. How long have you known? I found out yesterday. They left yesterday morning. Kate was quiet for a long time, staring at the pictures on the coffee table. We have been trying to have a baby, she finally let out. For the last 2 years. I have been doing fertility treatments. Seeing specialists. He said he wanted kids as much as I did. I felt sick. This woman did not deserve any of this. Mrs. Ellis, I have a proposal for you. She looked up. What kind of proposal? They think they are going to come back from their romantic vacation and neatly manage the end of their marriages. They think they will control the narrative, minimize the damage, maybe even stay friends with their exes for everyone's sake. And I do not think they should get what they want. And you do? Kate's expression hardened. What did you have in mind? I think they should come home to find their perfect plan in ruins. I think they should face the consequences of their actions. The real consequences. I am listening. Brandon lied to Nicole and told her he was divorced. If she knew he was married, that might change her perspective on their grand romance. And if your mutual friends knew what Brandon was really doing in the Maldives, that might change their perspective on him. Kate stood and walked to the window, looking out at the street where she and Brandon had built their life together. He is supposed to give the keynote speech at a charity gala next weekend, she said. The fundraiser for the Children's Hospital. He has been working on his speech for months. That sounds like a very public event. 500 people, including most of our friends and his colleagues. She turned back to me, and I could see the decision forming in her eyes. What do you need from me? Over the next 3 days, Kate and I became unlikely allies. We met twice more, once at a coffee shop downtown and once at my house while Haley was at school. Kate was methodical, organized, and far more strategic than I would have expected from someone who looked like she belonged on a Christmas card. I have been going at this from the wrong angle, she told me during our second meeting. I was focused on revenge, but what we really need is justice. What is the difference? Revenge is emotional. Justice is strategic. She was right. If we acted in the heat of anger, we would make mistakes. But if we were smart, we could ensure that Nicole and Brandon faced real, tangible consequences for their choices. I went through Brandon's computer, Kate said, pulling a manila folder from her bag. He is not as careful as he thinks he is. She spread printed out emails, bank statements, and credit card bills across my kitchen table. The evidence was overwhelming. Hotel receipts for afternoons when Brandon was supposed to be at work. Restaurant bills for overpriced lunches for two. Jewelry purchases that Kate had never received. This bracelet, she said, pointing to a receipt from Tiffany & Company for $5,000. He bought it 3 weeks ago. I have never seen it. Nicole had been wearing a new bracelet. I had noticed it. She had said it was a gift from her mother. And this hotel bill, the Peninsula downtown. The same day Nicole told you she was working late on the big client account. We pieced together the timeline of their inappropriate relationship, and it was worse than I had imagined. They were not just meeting for lunch and coffee. They were spending entire afternoons in luxury hotel rooms while Kate and I were living our normal lives. There is something else, Kate added. Brandon has been moving money. Significant transfers to accounts I do not recognize. She showed me bank statements that revealed a pattern of financial deception. Brandon had been siphoning money from their joint account, supposedly for business investments, but the money was being funneled into offshore accounts. I think he has been planning to disappear with Nicole for months, Kate said. This is not just an affair. It is theft. Can you prove it? I am working on it. I have a friend who is a forensic accountant. She is helping me trace it all. While Kate worked on exposing Brandon's financial misconduct, I focused on Nicole's professional life. My wife was proud of her career, proud of the reputation she had built at Hawthorne Creative Agency. She had worked for 15 years to become a creative director, and her professional image was everything to her. It would be a shame if that image were to be tarnished. I started with social media. Nicole's Facebook and Instagram accounts were filled with pictures from her trip with Brandon. Beach photos, sunset dinners, couples activities. She was not even trying to hide the romantic nature of their vacation. One photo was captioned, "Finally found my happiness," and she tagged Brandon in every post. I took screenshots of everything. Next, I did some research on Hawthorne Creative Agency's biggest clients. The agency had a very strict morality clause in their contracts. Any behavior that could damage the agency's reputation was grounds for immediate termination. A well-documented inappropriate relationship with a married man would certainly meet that criteria. I drafted an anonymous email to the agency's CEO, complete with screenshots of Nicole's social media posts and copies of her emails with Brandon. I had not sent it yet, but it was ready to go. "Are you sure you want to get her fired?" Kate asked when I told her about the email. I am just making sure the right people are aware of the situation. And Haley? How is she going to handle all this? That was the question that kept me up at night. Haley was 16, old enough to understand what was happening, but young enough to be devastated by it. She would love her mother regardless of Nicole's flaws, and she was going to be hurt no matter how this played out. I will protect Haley as much as I can, I said. But I will not let Nicole destroy our family without consequences just to spare our daughter some short-term pain. Kate nodded. Brandon always said he wanted kids. I guess he just did not want them with me. It is his loss. No, Brian. It is his choice. And now he is going to have to live with the consequences. On Thursday, Nicole called while I was at work. I let it go to voicemail and listened to her message on my lunch break. Hey, honey. Just wanted to say hi. The weather here is perfect, and the resort is amazing. Brandon is such a great tour guide. He knows all the best spots on the island. I feel so relaxed and happy. I think this trip is exactly what I needed. I will call you tomorrow. Love you. The casual way she said it, as if she was not planning to divorce me, as if she was not sharing a getaway with another man, made my blood boil. I forwarded the voicemail to Kate with a text. Thought you would like to hear how much fun he is having. She responded immediately. The charity gala is tomorrow night. Are you ready? More than ready. Good. Because I just found out where Brandon is hiding the money he took from our accounts. My forensic accountant friend thinks there is enough here to press criminal charges. How much are we talking about? $200,000 transferred to offshore accounts in the last 6 months. I stared at my phone. Brandon had not just betrayed his wife. He had stolen from her to fund his new life with Nicole. Send me everything you have. It is time to end this. On Friday night, the Children's Hospital Charity Gala was held at the Palmer House Hotel downtown. Kate had been planning to attend with Brandon for months, but obviously their plans had changed. Instead, she was there alone, wearing a black dress that made her look composed yet strong, and carrying a manila envelope that contained the end of Brandon's reputation. I was not at the gala. I was at home with Haley, helping her study for her finals and trying to pretend that my world was not about to explode. But Kate and I had been texting all evening, coordinating our timing. Just arrived. Brandon is scheduled to speak at 8:30. Perfect. I am sending the email to Nicole's boss at 8:45. His speech is about the importance of trust and integrity in building strong communities. The irony is perfect. At 8:30 in the evening, I was sitting in my living room, watching Haley highlight passages in her history textbook, when my phone buzzed with a text from Kate. He is on stage. I imagine Brandon at the podium, confident and charming, talking about trust and integrity while his wife sat in the audience with the proof of his actions. I wondered if Nicole was watching the live stream from her hotel room, proud of her successful, charitable boyfriend. 8:35. He is talking about how much his wife inspires him to be a better man. 8:40. The question and answer is starting. 8:43. I am heading to the microphone. I held my breath. At 8:45, I hit send on the email to the CEO of Hawthorne Creative Agency, copying the entire management team. Subject line, urgent matter regarding employee conduct. At 8:46, my phone rang. It was Kate. I did it, she said, and I could hear chaos in the background, a murmur of confused voices, someone calling for security. What did you say? I asked him to explain how stealing $200,000 from his wife to fund an inappropriate relationship with a married woman aligned with his values of trust and integrity. In front of 500 people. On a live stream. With reporters from the Tribune and the Sun-Times in the room. I could hear Brandon's voice in the background, trying to explain, trying to control the situation, but the damage was already done. Kate, are you okay? I am perfect, Brian. For the first time in months, I am absolutely perfect. We hung up, and I sat in my living room, listening to Haley complain about geometry problems while Brandon's life imploded in real time across town. My phone started buzzing with news alerts. Prominent Chicago businessman accused of financial misconduct during charity gala. Scandal erupts at Children's Hospital fundraiser. Brandon Ellis accused of inappropriate relationship and theft. By 9 in the evening, he was trending on social media. At 10 in the evening, Nicole called me from the Maldives. I did not answer. She called again at 10:15, then 10:30, then 10:45. Finally, she left a voicemail. Brian, I do not know what is happening. People are calling me, texting me, posting things asking about Brandon. There are articles online saying horrible things. You need to call me back right away. Something is very wrong. I deleted the message without responding. Haley looked up from her textbook. Who keeps calling? No one important. On Saturday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls from Nicole and a text that just said, "Call me now." Everything is falling apart. Instead, I made pancakes for Haley and drove her to a friend's house for a study group. When I got home, there was a car I did not recognize in the driveway. Barbara Morrison, Nicole's mother, was sitting on my front porch, looking older than I had ever seen her. "Hello, Brian." "Barbara, I was not expecting you. I think we need to talk." I brought her inside, made her a coffee, and waited for her to start the conversation I was dreading. "Nicole called me last night," Barbara said. "She is hysterical. She says Brandon lied to her about being divorced, that he is facing legal trouble for financial misconduct, that there are articles calling her involved." "Do you think she is?" Barbara studied my face. "You knew this was going to happen." I knew my wife had been involved in an inappropriate relationship with a married man. I knew she was planning to divorce me when she got back from their romantic vacation. I knew she had been lying to me for months. "So you decided to let the truth come out?" "I decided to let her face the consequences of her choices." Barbara was quiet for a long moment. "She made a mistake, Brian. But she is still my daughter. And Haley is still my daughter. And I was not going to let Nicole tear our family apart without a fight. What about forgiveness? What about trying to fix things?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Barbara, your daughter was planning to leave me for months. She stole time, affection, and the life we built together to give it to another man. She did not make a mistake. She made calculated decisions, and now she has to live with the consequences. She wants to come home and try to fix things. She wants to come home because her backup plan imploded. Brandon is not going to leave his wife now. He is going to need her support to fight the legal charges. And Nicole's career is probably done. She needs me now. So suddenly, she wants to save our marriage. Are you even going to talk to her?" I thought about it. A part of me wanted to hear Nicole try to explain, to justify what she had done. A part of me wanted to hear her ask for forgiveness. But a much larger part of me was just done. "No, Barbara. I am not. Nicole made her choice when she got on that plane with Brandon. Now she has to live with it." Barbara left without another word, and I spent the rest of Saturday preparing for Nicole's return. I had already moved her things into the guest room. I had already consulted a divorce lawyer. I had already opened my own bank account and started the process of separating our finances. By Sunday, the story was national news. The Chicago businessman's inappropriate relationship exposed at a charity gala was trending on social media, and Brandon's company had issued a press release announcing his suspension pending the results of an investigation. Nicole's agency had been less diplomatic. Hawthorne Creative Agency had fired her, effective immediately, citing a violation of their morality clause and the damage done to the agency's reputation. Nicole and Brandon were coming home to a changed situation. Nicole's flight landed at O'Hare on Sunday evening. I knew because she had texted me the details 3 times, along with increasingly desperate pleas for me to pick her up. I did not respond to any of them. Instead, I took Haley out for dinner at her favorite restaurant and told her the truth about what had happened. "I already knew," she said, poking at her fries. "Well, not all the details, but I knew Mom was seeing someone. She has been acting weird for months. How do you feel about it?" Haley shrugged, but I could see the hurt in her eyes. "I feel like she chose him over us. And I feel stupid for not saying anything when I figured it out. It is not your fault, Haley. None of this is. I know, but it still hurts." "Yeah, it really does. Are you guys going to get a divorce?" "Probably. Is that okay with you?" "Is it okay with you?" I considered it. A week ago, the thought of divorcing Nicole would have terrified me. We had been together for 20 years, married for 18. She was the only adult life I had ever known. But sitting there with Haley, thinking about the past months of lies and betrayal and being treated like an obstacle to Nicole's happiness, I realized I was not scared anymore. "Yeah," I said. "I think it is." We got home around 9 in the evening to find Nicole sitting on our front steps with her suitcase, looking like she had been crying for hours. "Haley, why do not you go inside and finish up your homework?" I said. "I want to talk to her," she replied. "Not tonight. Tonight, Your mother and I need to have a conversation alone. Haley looked from me to her, then walked past Nicole without a word. Haley, Nicole called out, but Haley did not stop. She will not even look at me, Nicole said. Can you blame her? Nicole stood up, and I could see the devastation the last week had caused her. Her tan could not hide the exhaustion, the stress, the realization that her perfect plan had crumbled. Brian, we need to talk. There is nothing to talk about. Please. I know you are angry, but I can explain. Explain what? How you betrayed our marriage for months. How you planned to divorce me. How you lied to our daughter. Which part needs explaining, Nicole? I never wanted it to happen like this. How did you want it to happen then? She had no answer for that. I lost my job, she finally said. I know. Brandon was arrested. His wife is filing for divorce and pressing charges. The money he promised me, the life he promised me, none of it was real. I know. Was it you? Did you do this? Did you make sure everything fell apart on purpose? I looked at my wife, standing on our front porch with her designer suitcase, her nice clothes, and her perfect vacation tan, and she was asking me if I had ruined her life. Nicole, you destroyed everything the moment you decided Brandon was more important than our marriage. I just made sure there were consequences. I made a mistake. You made choices. Multiple choices over several months. You chose to lie to me, to betray our marriage, to plan a future with another man while pretending to be my wife. Those were not mistakes. They were decisions. I want to try to fix this. I want to save our marriage. Our marriage is over. Brian, I am begging you. I know I hurt you, but we can get through this. We can go to couples therapy. We can rebuild the trust. I will do whatever it takes. What you can do is find somewhere else to sleep tonight. And tomorrow, you can call a lawyer. Nicole's face fell. You cannot just throw 20 years away like that. I am not throwing anything away. You already did that. I am just acknowledging reality. I moved past her toward the front door. Where am I supposed to go? She yelled after me. I do not know, Nicole. Maybe you should have thought of that before you got on a plane with your boyfriend. I went inside and locked the door behind me. Through the window, I watched Nicole sit back down on the steps and pull out her phone. She made several calls, probably looking for someone who would be willing to put her up for the night. Judging by her increasingly frustrated expressions, she was not having much luck. Finally, around 11 in the evening, a taxi pulled up and Nicole got in with her suitcase. I never found out where she went that night, and I never asked. Haley came downstairs after the taxi left. Is she really not coming back? Not to live here. Good, Haley said, and I could hear the anger in her voice. I do not want her here. I do not want to pretend everything is okay when it is not. You might feel differently in a few days. She is still your mom. She is still your wife, but that did not stop her from betraying you. Haley was right. Being someone's family did not give you a free pass to hurt them without consequences. How are you doing? I asked. I am sad, Haley said, but I am also kind of relieved. The fighting, the tension, the way she was acting. It was awful. Maybe now we can just be honest with each other. That night, I lay in bed thinking about the past week, about the choices I had made and the consequences they had brought. I had exposed the inappropriate relationship, her career damage, her relationship with our daughter, and her plans for the future. I should have felt guilty. Instead, I felt free. The judge signed the divorce decree on a gray Tuesday in March. Nicole left the courthouse with her SUV, her wardrobe, and a check that would last her 12 months if she lived modestly. Everything else, the house, the savings, Haley's college fund, stayed with us. Brandon got 36 months in federal prison. Kate kept the house, the dogs, and got a new golden retriever puppy that she featured on her Christmas card. She was glowing. Nicole took a junior editor position in Milwaukee for half her old salary and moved during the week. Consequences had finally caught up. Haley sees her once a month at a coffee shop off Interstate 94. The visits are polite, brief, and one-sided. She still calls it a mistake, Haley told me on the drive home once. She does not regret what she did. She just regrets that the bill came due. It was the last time Haley asked for an explanation. Scott and I are closer than ever. He still blames himself for staying quiet. I keep telling him that if he had warned me, Nicole would have just spun the story in her favor first. This way, the truth arrived naked and undeniable. April came in warm. Exactly 1 year after Nicole flew to the Maldives with Brandon, Haley and I painted the living room a fresh green. We took down the large wedding portrait and replaced it with a picture of the two of us at a Cubs game last summer. Sunburned, laughing, free. In the middle of a brushstroke, Haley said, "I am proud of you, Dad." For what? For not giving up. For showing that people cannot just destroy everything and walk away smiling. I put down my roller and hugged her, paint and all. That night, Nicole sent a text. "A year since the trip that changed everything. Thinking of you and Haley. Hope you can forgive me someday." I deleted it, just like all the others. Forgiveness requires caring. I had run out of that somewhere over the Atlantic while she was sipping champagne with someone else's husband. Haley is asleep down the hall. Scott is coming over tomorrow to help install new shelves. The house smells like fresh paint, pepperoni pizza, and new possibilities. I walk out onto the porch with a beer. I look at the quiet street I once shared with someone who broke our trust and realize something simple. I did not lose my wife. I evicted a stranger who had been living in my life for 18 years. The nights are mine now. The mornings belong to Haley and whatever comes next. Nicole is alone in a city that does not know her name, paying rent with regret. I am home, and every light in this house is on, just because we want them to be. Good night, old life. You lost. We are just getting started. Comment. Hey there, I just wanted to share something that really stuck with me after this one. I've learned that holding on to your self-respect is never something you should negotiate away. Setting clear boundaries in any relationship protects the peace you deserve to have. Kindness matters deeply, but it doesn't mean accepting behavior that breaks your trust. Taking responsibility for your own healing is one of the most powerful choices you can make. Choosing calm over chaos might feel hard at first, yet it opens the door to real freedom. I hope you take a moment today to think about what truly matters in your own life. Remember, you're allowed to walk away from what no longer serves your heart. Building a life centered on honesty and care starts with how you treat yourself first. Thanks for watching with me. I'm always rooting for your peace and strength.
Thank you for taking the time to watch and support our channel. It just means a lot to us.